The dense canopy of the Amazon stretched endlessly above them, a living mosaic of greens pierced occasionally by shafts of golden sunlight. Maya adjusted the strap of her heavy backpack, her muscles already aching from the weight, but her spirit undeterred. She glanced back at her team. Carlos with his camera slung around his neck, eyes gleaming with anticipation. Elena clutching her sketchbook, her fingers already smudged with charcoal, and Lucas whistling a tune as he swatted playfully at the oversized leaves that brushed past them. Each step deeper into the jungle was a step away from their ordinary lives and into the heartbeat of wilderness they longed to document. Maya had organized this expedition driven by a lifelong passion for wildlife conservation. Methodical and determined, she believed that raising awareness through their documentation could spark change. Carlos, ever the optimist, saw the journey as his chance to capture the perfect photograph that would propel his career forward. Behind his jokes and laid-back demeanor, Lucas yearned for purpose, hoping this adventure would give his life direction. Elena, introverted and perceptive, sought solace in nature to escape her battles with anxiety, her art a window into her soul. Together they formed an unlikely but harmonious team, united by a shared thirst for discovery. The chorus of the rainforest enveloped them. Exotic bird calls, the distant howl of monkeys, and the constant hum of insects. As they navigated a narrow trail, Elena paused. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her eyes scanning the underbrush. From the shadows emerged a lone dog, its frame gaunt, ribs protruding beneath a dull coat. Its eyes held a mix of caution and desperation. "What's a dog doing out here?" Lucas murmured, a hint of unease creeping into his voice. Carlos raised his camera, capturing the animal's forlorn expression. Maya approached cautiously, extending her hand. "Hey there, buddy," she cooed softly. But the dog recoiled, a low growl rumbling in its throat before it slipped back into the shadows. They pressed on, but a subtle tension hung in the air. The encounter was unsettling. Domesticated animals didn't survive long in the wild, especially not alone. As dusk began to cloak the jungle, they decided to make camp near a small brook. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows among the trees. Maybe it was lost from a village, Carlos speculated, stirring the pot of stew that served as their meager dinner. "No villages for miles," Maya replied, her brow furrowed. Elena sat silently, her sketch of the dog unfinished. The sounds of the jungle shifted. The harmonious symphony turned discordant. Distant snarls and the snapping of twigs put them on edge. Suddenly, reflective eyes appeared in the darkness beyond their campfire. A multitude of them, shifting and circling. The thin dog stood at the forefront, teeth bared. "We're surrounded," Lucas whispered, his voice barely audible over the pounding of his heart. The pack emerged into the firelight. Dogs of various breeds, all emaciated and feral. Abandoned by previous explorers or illegal hunters, they had formed their own clan to survive. The realization hit them. These animals were desperate, and desperation bred danger. Maya's mind raced. "We need to stay calm," she instructed, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. Their food supplies were already dwindling, the humidity spoiling their rations faster than anticipated. The dogs inched closer, snarls escalating. Carlos brandished a burning branch, waving it to keep them at bay. "We can't fight them all," he warned, sweat dripping down his temple. "The river," Maya decided. "If we can reach it, we might lose them." Hastily, packing their gear, they moved as one, the perimeter of the pack shifting to match their every step. The jungle seemed to conspire against them. Familiar paths were overgrown or eerily altered. vines tangled like serpents around their ankles, and branches clawed at their faces. The air grew thick. Each breath labored as fear tightened its grip. Elena stumbled over a root, falling hard onto the damp ground. The sudden movement triggered the pack. With savage barks, the dogs surged forward. Carlos hauled Elena to her feet, but not before a dog snapped at her calf, teeth grazing flesh. She cried out in pain, limping as they ran. Lucas threw the last of their food behind them, hoping to distract the pursuers. For a moment, it worked. The pack slowed to scavenge the scattered provisions. "This way," Maya shouted, spotting the faint glimmer of moonlight reflecting off water ahead. They burst through the foliage to find the river, a churning torrent, swollen from recent rains and far more treacherous than they'd anticipated. "Are you crazy?" Lucas exclaimed, seeing Maya eye the raging waters. "It's suicide." The howls grew louder as the pack broke through the tree line. They were out of time. "It's this or them," Maya snapped, her eyes locking onto his. A silent understanding passed between them. Without another word, they secured their backpacks, tightening straps. Maya took Elena's hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "On 3, she commanded. 1, 2, 3. They plunged into the icy waters, the shock stealing the breath from their lungs. The current was fierce, dragging them downstream, spinning them helplessly as they fought to surface. Debris battered them, branches, rocks, each collision disorienting their senses. Maya surfaced, gasping, her eyes stinging from the murky water. She searched frantically. "Carlos, Elena, Lucas!" she screamed into the night. One by one, they emerged, clinging to slippery rocks along the bank. Exhausted, they crawled ashore, collapsing onto the muddy ground. Elena's leg bled where the dog had bitten her, the wound angry and swollen. Carlos tore a piece of his shirt, binding it as tightly as he could. They huddled together, shivering, their bodies bruised and battered. The reality of their situation settled heavily upon them. They were lost, supplies gone, equipment ruined, and predators likely still on their trail. As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, an eerie calm enveloped them. "We can't stay here," Maya whispered, her voice raw. "Elena needs medical attention." Lucas nodded solemnly. But which way? The jungle around them was unrecognizable, their maps rendered useless. Just then, a rustling caught their attention. From the trees emerged a group of indigenous people, their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern. Maya raised her hands in a gesture of peace, hope flickering in her chest. An elder stepped forward, his eyes wise and piercing. He spoke in a language they didn't understand, but his gestures were clear. They were being offered help. Relief flooded over them. The villagers tended to Elena's wound using herbal remedies, their knowledge of the land evident in every action. Through broken Spanish and hand signals, Maya explained their ordeal. The elder listened intently before responding. "The jungle tests those who enter unprepared," he said slowly, each word deliberate, "but it also provides for those who show respect." He revealed that the pack of dogs had been a known danger. Animals lost and turned wild, a cautionary tale for outsiders. The villagers guided the group back to a safe path, offering them food and water. As they parted ways, Maya felt a profound sense of gratitude and humility. Weeks later, back in the comfort of their city lives, the experience lingered. The footage and sketches they salvaged were raw and powerful, but it was the unspoken changes within them that were most profound. Maya found herself reflecting on the fine line between human ambition and respect for nature. Carlos's photographs took on a new depth, capturing not just images but emotions. Lucas channeled his energy into advocacy, his humor now a tool for education. Elena's art blossomed, each piece a testament to survival and resilience. Their encounter with the wild had stripped them to their cores, revealing truths they hadn't known they were seeking. And, though the jungle had nearly claimed them, it had also given them a story that would define them forever.